So now I'm checking the water level. There's some leftover water at the bottom of this big porcelain on steel tub. It's an antique piece I've had. I have a good collection of this stuff because it makes great vessels for floral designing, especially en plein air designs or something, something for the family room or the dining table in spring. And the snap, crackle, and pop sound has stopped. So the pouches are no longer bringing in moisture. They are hydrated, and I have a reserve, a small reserve at the bottom. And you'll see why as I create this design. This design is inspired by the birds, the spring birds. And I have some bluebirds that have come back, and they're already nesting in an old rickety birdhouse. It's on top of the greenhouse outside where we test products using agri-wool and seeding up and look at germination rates and so forth. We do our trialing for the products that we sell there. And now we're trialing this design with 3 pouches just placed in here. There's nothing else except for the pouches, the shape of the vessel, which kind of funnels them down and pushes them together, which is what I'm looking for. I don't see any need for extra, even keeping under consideration transportation. I'm that confident with OSHUN Pouch and that it doesn't shift and move. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to get started on this nest. I'm going to start featuring my favorite flowers first, grabbing that real estate so that I can create what I want and have in focus from the start. You'll notice I do not start by greening up. I'm try to keep my green at around 10% in my designs, so foliage and so forth. Not all foliages are green, so I have some freedom with the foliages, but the color green, I think I like to keep it around 10% and make the flowers bring their color and their story. So I'm using today a pair of cutters that I have been trialing here at home for over 6 months, and they are finally ready to be put on the up-and-coming boutique section of the website for New Age Floral. I have been working on that since, last October, and products are now getting ready to be released. And so check for the announcement on New Age Floral about our boutique section. You'll see it on the website. And yeah, so we're gonna get started with these French cutters. They have a nice leather grip, a good catch, when you're done. I love the spring. The spring here is fabulous. It's stainless steel, the tension spring. It's very basic in its construction, not too many fancy gadgets, which is what I like. I like things simple. They seem to last longer. So we're simply looking at metal and leather, and that's it. So now I'm gonna get cutting, and I have my handy tall basket here. So I can catch all my waste product and try to keep my room a little tidier, but also it's a good idea to try to keep your work space clean. Now I know what height I want, so I'm just gonna come in, and I'm not gonna worry about this holding. I'm doing a left-handed, I'm right-handed, but I'm doing a left-handed insertion, and I'm just gonna place it inside, and it's fabulous. I love the hold of this product. It doesn't wanna move, and I'm designing with confidence so that when you design confidently, you are coming in really quickly, you know where you want things to go, and you presume that they are going to hold in place. And you can do that with OSHUN Pouch. So yeah, it's a bit of a radial design, but you notice that last insertion, I'm kind of going straight, which is quirky and not what you want. Oh, there's a big node. And let's see. I do want them to look like they're little birds trying to get out of the nest, and they're gonna try to do it any way they can. Now, when I conditioned these pincushion proteas, the leucospermum, I purposely left some of the foliage on the top because I wanted a sense of trees. Oops, I should cut that. Yeah, I want that right at me. And yeah, it's good to have, the reference to the foliage sometimes, but it doesn't have to be all encompassing. It's not always about the green. This guy's so big, I'm gonna put him in there nice and low, and then quickly finish off. And I'm just designing in layers here, just layers. I'm really happy I'm doing all left-handed insertions. one of the things that you don't see, but when I look at this from an aerial perspective, is the distance between each insertion and the relationship of the triangles that I'm forming. I'm forming triangles each time I insert, and these triangles are overlapping at different depths. That may seem a little complicated to you, but it simplifies the process for the human eye to read this work as natural. Okay, there we go. And our heights as well. Let's talk about the heights of the insertion. Those two all need to be differing. I have nothing at the same height. If I were to turn this around, you'd see that. And I should turn it around. You'll notice my wobbly table. It's very wobbly, but I love it because it has 3 legs and it's very stable. Anything with 3 legs will never wobble. The top though, that can wobble all over the place. So I'm just bringing it back to my original position, and I know this is it because this guy's looking at me and I'm really happy about that. And now I'm going to look at the rest of my plant material here. You'll notice it's nothing really fancy other than the leucospermum. The only foliage here that flower here, well, not the only. One of the flowers here is kind of really shaking the boundaries of a carnation. And you'll see these carnations. They look like little butterflies if you look at them. I love this. I think the first time I saw this type of carnation, this cultivar, was in Europe. And I was really thrilled with it. I gave it a go in Germany, and it has such a delicate presence, but it's doing it with the same stem structure. So when you look at it, you're saying, hey, what is that thing I've never seen before? And when you're told it's a carnation, people are like, what? Huh? Really? And I'm cutting here at the base where they split, and that is so that now I can come in and create more triangular placements that may be straight or angled or so forth, because that's my methodology when I'm working in a traditional way, a traditional mass design. But this won't be the traditional mass design you're used to. I will try to bring in a lot of negative space, you know, that empty space or the space between that you hear talk about often in all of the arts, not just in floral design, but in all of the arts. And yeah, I think the space between, or the negative space, can be sculpted. Before New Age Floral and OSHUN Pouch during COVID, I used to describe, and I still do, but not officially, myself as a negative space sculptor, currently working in with the mediums of flowers and interiors. So I really kind of pushed the boundaries of that title, and but I was being interviewed on a television show, a local cable, and she got it, the interviewer. And she said, you know, I get what you mean by that. And this was for the Art Association. And they had all kinds of artists, not just floral artists or not people like me, but they would bring on different genres of artists. And so she was very, how we say, familiar with the notion of negative space. So that's this space in between. You may have heard the expression about the butterflies should be able to sort of fly inside your work. And yeah, I get it. I get the butterfly. But, you know, how about the little ladybug who also wants to play at the playground? And I think if you think in terms of scale and proportion and everything, I think you can create a work that, well, may not be able to allow the butterfly to fly in. So there you see the traditional mass heritage of the work, but also you're seeing a classical form reimagined. And these classical forms that we have tend to come into favor when we're creating holiday pieces, such as upcoming Easter. There's that holiday coming up. And Mother's Day, or Mothering Day, I think, is tomorrow in the UK. All of these events or milestone dates and calendars often ask for traditional work. And we can, play with that notion a little bit, and keeping in mind negative space, which is not being utilized, actually has a purpose. It helps with economy of means, of course. If there are no flowers there, then you're saving your resources in that build. But it also talks of what the vessel itself, what its purpose is. Here I'm doing a tight clustering because now I'm going to bring in another plant material to come in on this area, in this zone. I'm working in this zone right now with different textures and colors. So, I just mentioned zones, and that concept, look at these, the idea of zones in a design is something I learned when I was competing in Barcelona, and that was from Arik Gostyan. He introduced to me the concept of zones, and I was really grateful for that because it really helped me learn how to get into your work with a critical eye and get there quickly if you know you're going to the zone that you're working on currently, and immediately you're coming into this area. So that's what I'm doing. I'm in this zone, and I'm using this hypericum berry, this really sweet little, almost egg-shaped hypericum berry, and I'm just going down and giving another dimension, working in a triangle. We have a very long triangle here, and I'm now going to overlap it with another one, staggering the heights of the additions that I put in of the hypericum. So I'm working kind of like that 3D chessboard that you remember. I don't know if you ever watched Star Trek, but there was this 3D chessboard that I loved. And I said, wow, what a game. I'd love to play that. And I think there is a 3D game for kids. And I just remember that having to figure out how to strategize to win on a chess set that's 3D. I'm loving the texture. Again, if you have the ability to fly out of your phone or your camera phone or your computer and take a look at the three-dimensionality here, you're going to see that it's just really playful and very whimsical, and that's what I like. I like that for spring. So now I'm going to bring in some stock and work on another zone. Stock I love. I don't like the smell of it after a few days if you haven't cleaned the water, but stock is, especially in the white color, white stock, has this spicy, really spicy kind of feeling and scent that just gets my heart sort of pumping, because it reminds me of my childhood and trying to get my dad's licorice. He always had licorice around. So I'm not going to use this little guy, and I like the movement. I'm going to work with that movement. I'm just going to trim this off, and this one. I want my stems to be perfect. And now I'm going to have this lean into conversation with the first insertion of the pink stalk, so the eye is carried towards that. And the negative space, I like that angle and that level I just addressed, but we need to keep going. This one's nice and bushy. Love it, love it. I'm going to put this in nice and short. starting to fill in. There we go. So we have almost, now it's not quite an equilateral triangle, but it is a nice little zone, and the clustering is all clustering around these little birdies, these new released fledglings. Yes, that's what I see. I see little birds that were just coming from the nest. And now we'll create our second triangle with this material, and I'll continue on, I'll go all the way down in there with our zones. And we have the berry zone, and now we have this pink stalk zone. And you're getting a sense of how to approach a work that may seem daunting, but it really isn't. It really isn't. Come up here. There, I love that hole. Nice and low. I want it to touch the lip of the vessel, so there's a connection there. And I think we need one more of the stalk. And aha, you were hiding right there. And nice little cut there. And then let's just come straight through and bring up this height here. Right there. I like that. Talking with that butterfly dianthus in the sky, but they're kind of looking away from each other. They're like, I'm not so sure about you. All right, so here I'm just going to spin my design on this wobbly table, and you'll get a sense of placement and rhythm inside this large vessel. And I think for now, I'm going to work from this side so that I can come in with my next layer. We're done with this. And I think the next layer is going to be more of these butterfly dianthus that I love, because I want to reinforce not only the form, but the color variations of the same plant. So we see the humble carnation really taking on a starring role in this, however supportive it may seem. You know, you can't compete with the dominance of these pincushion protea. You certainly can't. And that's not just because of the flowers themselves, but because of where I placed them in the design and how I'm organizing all for future insertions using that, that pathway created by the initial layer that I put in. So here we go. Honestly, I wasn't intending to talk during this creative video. I was just going to create a design and then put it out there on New Age Floral. And I'm so glad that I decided to use it, because when I'm sharing like this and talking during my work, it's just that. It's me sharing, and you know, that's what it's all about, sharing the purpose behind a design, or sharing what you're trying to achieve, and then watching it together unfold and deciding, did I achieve that? Did I achieve that goal? So we'll see. I'm not going to speed up my insertions, and I'll tell you why. Because I really enjoy being a little more mindful in how I am organizing these insertions. And I need to do that slowly. And I've saved enough time by not needing to say cage each pouch, OSHUN pouch, because I don't trust, you know, the mechanic. I save a lot of time with that, and product too. You know, I'm not having to use, say, chicken wire or anything like that. But I prioritize my time, and I never will put the flowers aside as just the last step. It's all about the flowers for me. Really, let's talk about this. I mean, in the end, what we're doing with our floral design, it's all about the flowers. So why not let that extend, not just to your philosophy when working with the flowers, but also I think it might be advantageous to your connection with nature to say, hey, you know, everything I do ultimately is all about the flowers. So, oh wow, I'm just loving this. This is really pretty. So I think in the end, what we're talking about here is knowing and understanding what our relationship with nature is when we approach our design work. I mean, for a lot of us, let's face it, we need to get these things, these designs, these works that we create out quickly. There's a schedule to be done and to be respected and followed, and sort of the stress of that, time limitations, which is so important in floral design, time management. And so you do need to prioritize what you're going to spend your time on, and your resources, your mental resources are really important. And yeah, so I love the OSHUN Pouch because, not just because I was part of the invention of it. I mean, I was, you know, being an inventor of a product is something that is beyond my comprehension right now. I just know that it's happened. And but also because my relationship with nature has become so strong, so much stronger in slowing down and being mindful, being aware, and understanding that, for me anyway, it's all about the flowers. It's all about the flowers. So we can showcase them all in a traditional design that's going to change rather quickly. I'm not going to need these. And I'm just going to pull this aside. And now I'm going to bring in some transitional materials. I love the Alstroemeria because it really introduces, in this case, white. I'm bringing in now, slowly going to bring in the color white with this layer. And, you know, as you'll find with most people, placing the Alstroemeria high up in the design is a natural thing to do. But in this case, I'm going to bring them down really tight because why? I love how these act as an uplight. You know, the white, and then just the pink inside. If I put these down close, really tightly into the OSHUN Pouch, it's going to add a whole new flavor to this design. It's sort of supposed to emulate inside of a bird's nest, and what materials she and he use to get their nest comfortable, whether it be pine needles or grasses or seeds or whatever. I think having that going on in this design, having them look up from below rather than be up tall, and really maybe not getting the spotlight they deserve. I'm just going to come in and put them in so that they, again, are uplighting the work. Because otherwise, the black OSHUN Pouch recedes. So what will happen here? Will I lose the levity by introducing the, we'll call it the lining, the floral lining of this design, the understory of it? I don't know. I'm not sure. I can say with confidence, though, that in the past it's always resulted in even more depth and much more interest in the plant material because I'm presenting it differently, not the way it's typically presented. So the eye is reading a whole new kind of input, right? It's all about the human eye and what we're perceiving. And come over here and bring this transitional material in. You know, what I'm doing right now is I'm finding the initial holes that I poked when I was hydrating the pouch. Well, they expand a little bit as the pouch expands. And so I'm seeing that if my plant material, the diameter of the plant material I'm using is larger, than the hole that's exposed from the hydration process, then indeed it's going to have the hold I'm needing, and it's going to maintain a cleaner surface for fresher insertions. And well, it's accomplishing many tasks, but it does two things at once. And yeah, I love these guys. I mean, I could take the individual flowers off and insert them in there. It's kind of full right now. If I had done that after inserting the pins, there would have been no problem. But I didn't do that. So there's no looking back. There's only looking forward and how it's going to work out. I personally love it so far. I'm loving this. I would, oh, look at that. Come now. So pretty. It's so pretty. It really is. And I have lots here to fill in. And then we're going to bring in the white stock. Now, some of the Ulstramaria I'm putting in haven't opened yet. Am I going to go now and try to open them or prematurely? No, I'm not. I typically won't do that. Reflex. I mean, I have reflex tulips and all the thing. But, you know, in the end, I really love the parrot tulips, and their longevity always means that I don't need to worry about what they look like at the very end. They are in their glory at the very end, with those petals just saying, look at me. So all faces celebrated, right? Okay. And now, as I said, we've introduced through transitional flowers that incorporate all the colors in the other flowers already inserted. So now I'm going back to my solid white. I don't want too much of it. I don't want to overpower the pins here, the birds. So I'm just going to do a couple of these actually, and present as I did in pink on the tall, right? Just one or two of them, and that's it. And that's really all I need in this work, because too much conversation going on between the flowers can create a sort of chaotic mood. There'll be so many people trying to get a voice, so many flowers that want to tell their story to you, that it's really important that you, working with the flowers, decide together where to place them, so that even if it's only two of the white, the voice is just as strong in this design as all of these pins. However, the pins with their texture and their form will always dominate, you know, not to mention the color. So let me find the next one that's really sweet. Oh, this one I'm loving. Okay, look at that. It's got a nice shape. And again, I will go here. Whoops. This is working out so far, the basket, but there are a couple on the floor, a couple of stems right there. And let's get these two talking. All right, at different heights. I love the buds of the stalk there, and I'm loving this. The temptation to just overdo it is definitely there. But if we're talking about economy of means and negative space sculpting, you really don't need to go crazy on the materials. I do want to use up all of this, and I'm seeing places where I can insert them nice and low, like we talked about. Again, reinforcing that sort of uplighting, but that dimensionality of the work. And what you place down close really is important, because if you were to just put sunflowers at the base, first of all, it would be very difficult to design with. But secondly, I think, and more importantly, those sunflowers, that positioning, they need to be up here, yeah? They really do. And yeah, so notice the sunflowers. I don't know if you can see them, but this painting is sort of a favorite of mine, this oil painting. It has a lot of impasto and texture, yeah? And really gritty down here. And then these beautiful abstract sunflowers come up. I'm going to include one tall one. Why? Because it looks like there's a conversation going on with the big boss here. And I want this guy to join in. I'm going to just push this down a little. There. Very nice. So let's turn that for you to see. See that we have our layers inserted in triangle formation to give us support and help in creating a multi-dimensional work. But there is something missing here, and that's the nest, yeah? So I think right now I want to really create the mood of a nest. I'm going to put these things aside. I opted so far not to use the tulips, so far. And now I'm going to create a nest. I did a program for New Age Floral, spreading knowledge and inspiration about sustainable floristry practices and availability of mechanics and so forth. And just see how this works. So this has been dry since I received this. I think it was back in November. Wow, there it is. That's a tough one. I'm doing this with my broken wrist. Done. And because it's dry, I don't really need to do a cross cut up here. That would actually make it more difficult. But I'm going to start building my nest, okay? And I'm going to be sculpting some space through shadowing, creating a shadow, casting a shadow. I want it down lower, I want it there. And I've created some negative space here, and there's a nice movement happening, and I'm just going to go right around. Again, these stems, these are dry, so I don't really need to, other than cut at an angle, worry about the hydration and water uptake. So I'm just taking my left hand. Notice there's no movement in this design, and I'm putting in a pretty large branch. This design, this is heavy. The pouch gets heavy, has this is heavy, okay? Which you want heavy. We want heavy in terms of stability. We want lightness and airiness above. So yeah, that's another reason why I don't need to use any mechanics, accessory mechanics, because I know that the pouch is going to hold. So there, great. Let's turn it for you. And I have a few more sticks. Oh, I think I didn't finish what I was saying. So I did a garden club program last November, and I do this program quite a bit, where it's titled Sustainability is Always in Season. And so the brief is essentially this. I will come to you, and you are going to provide all of the product from your garden, whether it's the indoor garden and your houseplants in the middle of January, our winter, or December, or November, and there's nothing growing, or from your regular garden. And geez, this is tough. It's dry. There. So that's the brief. And someone brought me these gorgeous beech branches from her tree, and I was so thrilled. Couldn't believe it. And I'm not sure, to be honest. I do quite a bit of programs, but if I don't think I worked with them, and I think she was going to take them back. And I said, no, you're not. I'm taking these home with me. And I'm so glad I did. So you're seeing the hold here with the pouch. And look at the direction here. I love that. And you're getting a sense of what the pouch is really capable of doing. And I'm thrilled to be able to be doing it here today. I just want to get that angle. There we go. And this one is going to come in and down. I'm going to step around, and I want this to come in and down there, so that the nest isn't too perfect. I don't want it to be too perfect. Yeah, I don't believe in perfection. So this is our next branch, and I'm going to put the whole darn thing in facing me, but to do that I need to rotate. So I'll rotate first, and I'll leave that facing you. Whoa, there goes a table. I'm telling you, it's the top that's the problem. So have a little bit of some grasses from outside and from my garage, but this is really looking smackers, I think. So just want to, I notice now here that the gardener who provided this at the program and for me to design with, also she did a 45-degree cut and then the cut up the middle for water uptake. And so I don't need to do that at all, obviously, because I'm working with it dry, but she provided it for me in that way. I'm thrilled. Okay, so we're in, and I think this is great. I could just keep going. I think I have one more branch, so I'll be right back. And it's this one, yeah. And I'm really liking it to go here, and it does have an interesting shape. But I'm going to try to get it close, have this V snuggling, you know, in the OSHUN pouch, touching it, so that it looks like two separate insertions. And that's going to happen here, right, like that. Just spin you. Getting a little interference. There we go. And now I'm going to snuggle it in. There it is. The V is snuggled up against the pouch. So I got this really whimsical design. I'm really excited. This is OSHUN Pouch. This is nesting, and this is the idea of celebrating everything that life has to give you, however humble or however grand. These are gifts of nature, and it's up to us to protect the source of these gifts and be able to share them with you, and you pass it along with your customers or family and friends. So thanks so much for joining me. OSHUN Pouch is available at New Age Floral by the case. These pouches were the size 6 by 9.